Yesterday, I got the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. Now, for those of you who are subscribers of this channel, you know that I am using a Sony full-frame camera in the A7S III. So the question is, why did I buy an APS-C lens for a Sony full-frame camera? But before I answer that question, if you're new here, my name is Nico. I create content about camera gear, audio equipment, and other tech gadgets. Now, I am not a professional videographer or a professional photographer. I used to professionally edit for podcasts, but all my opinions here in this channel is from a perspective of an everyday tech dad. Now, back to the Sigma 16mm lens. Now, the quick answer to why I bought this for my Sony full-frame camera is that I did not buy this for my Sony full-frame camera. Before I got this, I was already planning to buy a Sony ZV-E10 for my B cam, and I was contemplating which lens to buy for that APS-C camera, since I have a limited budget for lenses. So I was thinking, should I go with the Sigma 18-50 f2.8 for that versatility of that focal range, or should I use the lens lineup that I used before when I had my A6400, which is the 16mm and the 30mm Sigma lenses, both f1.4 lenses. Now, I was browsing on Facebook Marketplace when I saw someone selling this lens at a very, very good price, and it was bought brand new March of 2022. So that's, just a couple of months old at a good price. So I said, I think this is a sign this might not be available at the time when I will buy my Sony ZV-E10. So I went on to buy it right away. Now, the reason I haven't bought the Sony ZV-E10 is because it's out of stock in all the stores that are close to my house. Now, the reason why I'm making this video, as you've already know in the title, when the lens arrived yesterday, I wanted to test it right away. And since I don't have the ZV-E10 yet, and with Sony having one mount for both the full frame and the APS-C line, then I used it on my A7S III. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Sony full-frame cameras have what you call a crop mode or Super 35 mode or APS-C mode, wherein if you put an APS-C lens into a full-frame body of Sony, it will crop in and just use the size of the sensor equivalent to an APS-C sized sensor. And this is because most of the APS-C lenses, what's happening to my light? All right, back to APS-C mode. Now, the APS-C mode crops in because most of the APS-C lenses made for APS-C bodies have smaller glass. So it doesn't need to cover, a big sensor size like full frames. So, to cut on costs, they make the lenses smaller. Now, when you put that into a Sony full frame body, which has a bigger sensor, it doesn't cover the whole sensor because it's smaller than full frame lenses. The effect is you get some vignetting. Now, when they crop in Super 35 mode or APS-C mode, then the vignetting goes away. All right, let me just show you. So here is the Sigma 16mm f1.4. I am going to put it into my A7S III right now so you can see. All right, so I am now using my 16mm f1.4 lens here on the A7S III, and yes, I am using it in crop mode. Now, for the Sony A7S III, you can only use crop mode in 1080p because it's only a 12 megapixel sensor, so it doesn't have enough pixels that when you crop in, you still have enough resolution to output the video in 4K. So I am shooting in 1080p right now. So again, why am I making this video? Since this is a normal thing for Sony full frame cameras and Sony APS-C lenses. Since the Sony A7S III doesn't have crop mode in 4K, when I attached this lens to the Sony A7S III, I was in 4K. So it didn't go into crop mode. It was using the full sensor. Now, I was expecting vignetting, but I wasn't expecting this little vignetting. Yes, I am now in full frame mode, wherein the lens is not using crop mode anymore. So this is actually a 16mm focal length on a full frame sensor. Now, as you can see, you've got some vignetting in this part, but I was expecting a heavier vignette. So what I did was I turned on active stabilization. Watch. Since when you use the active stabilization, you crop in like 1.1 times, then the vignette disappears further. So I think this image is a very usable image. Like with this little vignette, you can crop in further in post, while editing, and you will still have a decent amount of resolution from this combination of the 16mm of Sigma and a Sony full frame body. So if you need an ultra wide angle lens like a 16, or in this case we were probably at 17 or 18 because of all the cropping, then I think this is a very, very good budget option for Sony users. So one more application that I was thinking of, vlogging. All right, so I'm now testing the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens for vlogging on a full frame sensor. Now, if you need an ultra wide lens like this, and this is a great budget option, you know, as compared to buying a full frame lens, which is so much more expensive and so much heavier than this lens. For an APS-C lens, this is on the heavy side, but if you are used to using full frame lenses, then this is a very, very, very light option when it comes to full frame setup. So this is what you get. So I am on active stabilization. That's why it's cropping in, and there you go. I think this is a very, very great pickup even for full frame Sony users. All right, that's it for this quick vlog. I hope you like it. I hope if you're thinking of getting this lens for your Sony full frame camera, I hope this helped you. Or if you are thinking of upgrading from your APS-C system to a full frame system and you still don't have that much budget for new lenses and you're thinking of keeping your 16mm f1.4 lens, I hope this helped you in deciding that maybe yes, you can still keep it. And I definitely will be bringing this lens in our travels to create our travel videos. Speaking of travels, I just made a video on what's in my camera bag when we go on travels with my family. You can watch it here, so please do check that out.